Good afternoon. I'm Kathy Williamson with Goodwill Works, and today my guests are some folks with the Hardin County Homemaker wanting to talk about the Fall Bazaar that you guys have it coming up. Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to come and visit with us. So my guests are Dana and Ventress. I'm sorry, I didn't. I was scanning the sheet, and you are the Family Consumer Science Agent.
Yes, ma'am.
For the Hardin County
Extension Office.
Office. Okay, and also Debbie McQuarrie.
Yes.
And you are the Hardin County co-president of the Hardin County Homemakers Association here in town. All right, good deal. So you guys have an exciting event coming up, and it is the Fall Bazaar. So I wanted to kind of cover just a little bit about what the homemakers are about and how you got your start and how long you've been around and those sorts of things.
Well, I know a couple years ago we celebrated our 100th anniversary for the Hardin County Homemakers. And so the name to me, Debbie may disagree with this, is a little bit misleading because it seems like people who stay home or they're only interested in doing things within their home. But that's almost exactly the opposite of what homemakers do. So they're a volunteer civic organization, and their intent is to just better their communities. And so they take on tons of volunteer opportunities. They're kind of very well versed within their own communities. We kind of have clubs within each community throughout the county, and they participate and give scholarships and different things like that throughout the whole county.
So they've been around 100 years.
Well, over 100 now, yeah, because we made a history book, and I should have looked that up. I think in 2017 was our 100th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that has longevity, which means it does some really good things in our community.
Right.
About how many folks might be a member in the local Hardin County chapter?
Is it over 100 now?
Oh, we have over 400.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Our membership decreased a little bit because of COVID, but I think we're back on upbuilding.
Yeah.
Because we're more involved now, have more people that are interested.
Yeah, we spoke before we went on camera about how COVID has really changed the way all of us have been working for the last 18, 24 months.
Right.
And so we are gradually getting back to norm. We're not sure what norm's going to look like,
Right.
but we're trying to get back to it. And one of the things that I see that we're doing in the community is getting out and getting back to what we enjoyed and being able to make a contribution to our community. And so those doors have opened up some.
Well, and that's one thing, I am just the advisor to homemakers, but I've been really proud of them because even during COVID, they still did a ton. And so we still had groups who donated. They do a Hugs project, which you can speak a little bit more to. But they donate different things every month. We had our quilt group made more than 500 surgical caps for the hospital. They made more than 1,400 masks from the Hardin County Homemakers for Hardin County schools. So they might have slowed down and things looked different, but they never stopped.
No, we were still involved heavily.
Yeah.
The HUGS is an acronym for, let's see, HUGS, Helping Understand by Giving Service.
Wow, okay.
So we have something every month that we do to help in our community, such as donating food to the food bank or making, our project this year, we're going to be making fidget mats for those that are in resource centers or nursing homes or, where they're sitting the majority of the time, and this keeps them busy, something to do while they're sitting there.
Okay.
We've done other things like taking money for the animal shelters. We just try to make it a diverse community, sponsorship that we help them in some way.
How do you fund your projects? Someone in the club knows about it and there's a need and they talk to you and ask for your assistance?
Yeah. And sometimes we open them up to the public. Sometimes it's been school supplies or a coat drive or a mitten drive a couple years ago was one of them. One of them was a shoe drive that supported clean water. So just sometimes we do open them up to the community when it's a need like that.
Yes, we did a few years ago. We did an international book program with a group in Lexington, and we collected old books, textbooks, all kinds of books, and took them to Lexington, and so that they could distribute them around the world. Actually,
Wow.
we also this past year very proud of like the Stitchers group has been making quilts for hospice patients, and we recently had a work day. Several went into the extension office and were sewing there, and then others did them at home. I know myself and two friends, we did a Zoom meeting, and we just sewed with each other.
Listen to her talk about Zoom.
It was
Talk
fun.
about the last 24 months, how
Right.
it's changed the world.
Yes.
So you learned how to do Zoom, and you got connected, and you know that the technology has really kept us connected
It
when
has.
we couldn't physically be there. But aren't we glad that's starting to open
Yes.
up some?
And that's one of the things I think a lot of people join homemakers for is just the fellowship. The volunteer opportunities and all that, that's a bonus, the getting to be involved, but you end up joining for the fellowship and the people that are around you. So the Zoom was a good way to still get
Keep
that piece.
going.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
do it electronically.
Yeah.
They asked that I teach my class over Zoom, and I make the joke, I didn't know how to spell Zoom. Okay, but by Monday,
Yeah.
I had my
You learned it quick.
I had my 12-year-old granddaughter come to the house. We had her papa in the front room on Zoom. Her nephew, her uncle in Birmingham was on, and we managed. Now we still hiccuped,
Right.
but the fun part is even the experts still hiccup.
Right.
So
Oh,
that's
yeah.
okay. That's
Yeah.
okay. You know,
Yeah.
so accidentally disconnect a bunch of, but we get it back. That's all right. We're never too old to stop learning and such. So where does the club meet?
Well, each club has an individual meeting site.
Okay.
I belong to Cecilia Homemakers, and we meet at the Cecilia Baptist Church. We, the Stitchers, which I also belong to, meets at the Extension office. And we have a little brochure at the Extension office that tells our club, it gives the list of our clubs, their times that they meet, so a person can actually find one that would fit,
Good fit, where your
Yes.
interests are.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we let you, when you're interested in joining homemakers, you're allowed to attend so many meetings at different clubs to kind of see where you do fit, because each of our clubs has completely different personalities. They have different styles of the way that they meet, the way that they do things, their volunteer opportunities. And so you don't have to meet within the community that you live. And so
Right.
she said she's a member of Cecilia. We've got Rineyville, we've got West Point, things like that. White Mills is a huge club, but if you were to live in Cecilia, you could still be a member of White Mills if that's where you felt most comfortable. So even though traditionally homemaker clubs did stay within their communities and they met within people's homes, and that's kind of changed a little bit over the years, but you don't have to be where you live if that's not where you feel like you fit in the most.
Well, and where your interest is.
Right.
The
Yes.
Stitchers, I'm assuming they make quilts.
Yes.
I wouldn't be very good at
Right.
that.
We have classes for that, though.
You have classes
That's
to
right.
teach me how to stitch and how to make.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm one of those that I think I've tried everything. My crochet gets so tight that you can't get. It starts to roll. My knitting gets so tight that you can't get the needles in. I mean, so again, I'm not very crafty that way. But if you had someone that did flower arrangements, now that would
there you
kind of
go.
be up my alley and what I do. Okay, so you're going to be hosting this bazaar. And so I understand that this bazaar has a purpose. So tell us about the purpose of this bazaar you have coming up next month.
Well, the sole purpose is to raise monies to provide scholarships to students,
Okay.
and also homemakers themselves. They can apply I think we do it in the spring, and if you have a relative who belongs to homemakers, then you are eligible to apply for one of these scholarships.
So that's the criteria.
Yep.
Is this someone in your family belongs to a homemaker? And then you said before we went on air that someone in the homemaker club could actually apply for this if there was something where they wanted some education. They wanted maybe go to the local ECTC, that sort of thing, or they wanted to take some classes. Is that sort of what this scholarship might be for?
Yes, usually it's within their interests. For example, stitchers, there might be a workshop somewhere on some technique or method, and they would attend a workshop. I know some have attended workshops at Paducah when they have the quilt show, and then you would come back with the information that you have learned, and then you would teach or explain the method to your club members. I myself have received a couple of mini grants, we call them that for the members, to take painting lessons, and then I would go back and teach a class at the extension office to try to interest others in that method.
Share your knowledge.
Yes, share your knowledge.
The information that you've picked up and bring it back to the club. That's great.
Yeah. But one advantage too, when you join Hardin County Homemakers, you automatically become a member of Lincoln Trail Area Homemakers and then the Kentucky Extension Homemaker Association. And this on the state level, they do have educational scholarships for homemakers. And so if you did want to take a class at EC3 or something like that, you could apply for that on the state level. There also are state level mini grants for the same type thing that we do here at the county level. And then, like I said, we've got the county level mini grants, and then we also fund the senior student scholarships as well. So
you have access to a lot of more information or a lot of different opportunities, like you said, on the state level that we here in Hardin County may not be aware of. But once you're in part of that program, now that information's shared across the board and you have access to it, where we may never have found out about it.
Right.
So we talked a little bit about last year or the last time. I think you said there were 13 grants that were or scholarships.
Student scholarships,
Student scholarships last year.
I think we did 13 student scholarships and then one mini grant. And then this year we were able to give scholarships this year, even though we haven't had the past 3 bazaars. And this year I think we had 6. We had 6 scholarships and 1 mini grant. So it just depends on how much the bazaar makes, what's in the account. So the better the bazaar does, the more students we're able to give money to. And then how many students apply. So, but most years, I have been here for 6 years, and almost every year, every student that's applied has gotten it. So they do their best to reach everybody.
Is there a cost to be a member of the Homemakers?
Yes, you pay dues to your whichever homemaker club that you belong to. But actually, so they set their dues, but it's actually $10 for most of the homemaker clubs. $4 goes to your local club. $4 goes to the state, and then $2 is donated to ovarian cancer.
Oh, another project,
another big project for homemakers.
That's a biggie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's a statewide cause, the ovarian cancer project, and they have funded it for years. We have raised over $1 million for the ovarian cancer screening program. So I know just a couple years ago, like money that homemakers had raised across the state bought new machines that they were able to do more screenings.
You guys are doing good all over the place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, so let's talk about your event that's coming up. It's on November the 13th. That's a Saturday.
Yes.
I'm going to make that assumption. And where is it located?
It will be located at our new extension office, 111 Opportunity Drive Way. Opportunity Way.
Wonderful location.
Yes.
I've already been to a couple of events that were hosted there. Great opportunity.
We're very lucky.
It is beautiful. It easy access to it.
Yeah.
Good parking, all of those things that are important to folks that are like vendors or participants that are coming to participate. That again, easy access on and off the parkway there, and also Ring Road, and then again the great parking that's there. So the event is the times on the event
9 a.m. till 3 p.m.
Okay,
I believe. Is that correct?
Yep. Is that okay? So what is it? So we've got 2 things to talk about. Coming as a participant, how much does it cost to get in?
It's free. Free admission.
Yes. Free admission. Okay. Well, you can't beat that price.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
That's a great price.
Yeah.
So you can just come in from 9 to 3 that whole day. And so once you get inside, what can you expect? Vendors, food, tell me about that.
Yep.
Well,
You want me to?
go
Okay.
ahead. Yes,
Okay, so this year we have 42 vendor spots this year.
42, wow.
And then the homemakers kind of run the kitchen area, and so there's two different pieces to that. One is they do baked goods that you're able to take home. So they do individual, just kind of grab and go bags of cookies, things like that. But then they also make full cake, some beautiful cakes. And we do it so close to Thanksgiving that you can then freeze those cakes and serve them.
Do you make a coconut cake?
Oh,
I'm
there's
sure
everything.
there will be
Oh,
everything.
There's everything.
My husband is constantly in search of his mother's coconut cake.
There you go.
And so every time we go to a church bazaar or something like this, he will be scouting for a coconut cake.
Well,
There
now
you
that
go.
you've put the word out, we may have
That's-
dozens of coconut
You'll
cakes.
have to come. That's right.
There's, you know, I can remember as a child my grandmother making homemade coconut cakes, and back then she would take the coconut
Oh.
and score it over the
Oh, wow.
all of the gas. She doesn't know what we're talking what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I do.
But you would score it, and then she'd crack it open, and then that fresh coconut that would come out of there. And that's what my husband has in his mind.
Yeah.
Is his mom's coconut cake that way. So.
Well, we have some incredible bakers
Absolutely.
and the
I
homemakers.
can
So
only imagine.
if he were to find one, it may not be his mom's, but I can promise it would be good. So
Pound cakes and
Yes.
just angel food cakes.
Oh, a lot,
All
yeah.
of those sorts of
Homemade breads,
homemade
and cookies.
breads and
Yeah.
cookies. And
we have one vendor who makes homemade rolls, and she doesn't even get them on the table before they're all sold. Honestly,
Right.
she doesn't even get them on the table, and they're all
someone
sold.
came
So,
last year and they said, if she's there again, I'm going to come by.
like
her
as she
rolls.
walks in, they're like, "Okay, I went through."
She's here, she's
yeah,
here.
yes, yeah,
Fudge, candies, things like that.
Yes.
yep,
Oh, there's another thing.
Yeah.
Is the homemade fudge.
yeah.
That you could only get. See, here's the thing, guys. We have memories of food that's attached to our childhood,
Oh yeah.
and it just brings us warmth. It brings us happy memories.
It does.
From being a child, and that stuff that we see on the commercial market just doesn't compare. Okay, so the homemakers are going to do different foods.
Yes,
such.
and then they also do lunch.
Oh.
So they serve what's been pimento cheese and pulled pork and hot dogs, but then they do chili and potato
Right.
soup and
Homemade soups.
yeah.
Homemade soups. There's another
Yeah.
one. Yeah, and it's good. It's in November because that starts to getting
Oh,
kind
that's
of cool.
right.
You gotta have a little nip in the air. You got some cornbread. You got some, that
Yeah.
sort of stuff that goes with
Yeah.
with chili and vegetable soup. Oh, guys, you're making me think about,
Yeah.
about
That alone could bring people in, but then you have all the vendors
Okay.
on top of it. So
All
it's
right.
there's really no
So
reason
let's
not to
talk-
come.
Let's talk about the vendors. What do we have vendors-wise that might be in the room?
Well, you've taken
a
the
bunch.
application, so
So this year, I know so far we have lots of hand-painted items. We have several woodworking vendors, a couple of new vendors for that. We have one girl who makes home decor, beautiful. So I've bought several things from her every year. We have knitted projects. We have crocheted things. We have just a lot of good gift opportunities for Christmas coming up, where you're supporting not only homemakers but also a small business for the vendor that's there. And then you get something for your family member or friend that you don't just buy at a store.
And you said it had to be homemade.
It doesn't have to be homemade, but if it's not homemade, the other things that we have are where people are like independent distributors. Like we have a, Tastefully Simple vendor who comes and sets
Okay.
up every year.
Okay.
And then we have a couple of members who set up tables that they own small boutiques. So like they'll bring their
There you
clothes
go.
and different
Okay,
things like that.
Opportunity to do that as
Right,
well.
right.
But like you said, the unique item. the
Yes.
one
Right.
that you're
It's not
gonna-
something they went and bought it at a store and now
you're
they're
not gonna
reselling
find
it.
on the
Right.
retail shelf.
Right.
This is something that that was custom made or something like that, or again a product that you're not going to be able to find just at our local
Right.
retail
Right.
Right.
location and stuff. And so you said there's 42.
Just 42. When we used to have it in our old office, we had about 50. When we moved to our new space, we've only had one bazaar there, and we were able to have about 67 vendors that year. But this year we've cut it back just to allow more distancing for COVID, not only between our vendors, but for our shoppers to feel safe and comfortable. So our shopping aisles are quite a bit larger. And then we try to make it that each of our spots have electricity, so that if our vendors have anything that they want to be able to display that needs that, And so we've set it up where they each could have an electrical outlet and have that as well. So it's 42 this year, which is still a good number in one room.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could pretty much do your whole Christmas shopping list.
You could.
Just kind
I have done that several years.
just go in with your list and pick up something for everyone.
Yep.
So you kind of touched on a little bit about safety. Let's talk about, as an attendee, what can I expect when I come into the building?
So as of right now, so the way that it works, even though this is held by our Hardin County Homemakers and it's hosted here locally, we don't have the final say of the regulations. So as of right now, the University of Kentucky, which is who Extension is through, masking is recommended. That may change within the next little bit, depending on the numbers, but it hasn't changed so far, so I don't foresee it changing anything drastic. But we have enough space to allow for social distancing. All of our vendors are socially distanced, and so that's all recommended as well. But as of right now, masks are only recommended. Okay. If they are required, that will all be posted and
signs
known ahead of time.
Know what we need to do. Absolutely.
Yes.
And again, like you said, that's out of our hands locally, and so we'll just abide by whatever the guidelines are at the time. Maybe some sanitation.
There are hand sanitizer stations everywhere.
Okay.
And where the bazaar is, you're close to 3 different restrooms. And so you've got space to go and wash hands as well. Kitchen-wise for the food, I've already taken a food handler certificate course. Our homemaker kitchen manager will take one as well, just to make sure that everything in the kitchen is run. Proper food safety, all of that. It always is, but that's an extra step we're taking this year as well. So
well, and this might be the first time that our community's visiting the location,
right.
And not have any understanding how large it is, and the 3 restrooms and all of that. So if you don't have don't have a visual, if you haven't visited, you really don't understand how well it is laid out.
Yeah, it will not be cramped at all.
And how all that can be accommodated as you go through and such. So, are there other things that we might need to cover that we haven't talked about? I mean,
we do still have vendor spots.
Oh, okay.
So if anybody wanted to sign up as a vendor, last I looked, we still had 1 spot on the wall, so you would be able to use the wall space behind you.
Okay.
And then we still had about 18, I think, spots in the middle, which are 6-foot tables. You're able to set up a rack behind you if you need some sort of extra space for display, so as long as it's not wider than your table. Like I said, electricity is available. And as far as we even raised prices when we moved to the new building because we had such a larger space. But I still get told all the time that we're the cheapest bazaar in town.
Okay.
So
can we touch on that? What's the expense
so
to do that?
Our most expensive table is $35, I think, maybe $40 for our. We have one that's like a 15-foot space.
Yes.
But those, I think,
Sounds
all went.
very
They were
reasonable.
they were the first 3 that went, I think.
Absolutely. When you've been in that environment setting up, you and I have done that over the years, and absolutely. And so, and we're going to put at the end of the show today the contact information on how to get in touch with you to register to be a vendor and that sort of thing.
But you stop by. We have a very simple application that you fill out, and then we actually have a to scale layout that you come in and you pick your table, and so you can see where it is with the doors and all of that, and see where you want to be. Which surprisingly, we have people who are very opinionated about where is best, that they think is best, and other people say, I don't care, stick me wherever.
Well, and that's another unique thing, because a lot of times it's first come, first serve. You go by numbers, and so that's another great opportunity for, as a vendor, to be able to see what makes sense for me, and what the product I'm bringing to the table, as to how it's going to be comfortable for me to get set up, and that sort of thing. Again, you and I have done trade shows and events and exhibit halls for years, and so we kind of know how sometimes that you don't feel like you're getting the best spot, but that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. You're there and supporting. All right, guys. Again, Debbie, did you have anything else on your list?
Other than the bazaar, I just would encourage people to check into the homemakers, because we mentioned just a few things that we do. We are so active when we can be active. A big thing that we do is help with the Hardin County Fair as volunteers. We actually have a building, the Homemakers Building, where exhibits are located, and we man it for the entire week.
Well, I've been through there. I just didn't know who was. I didn't know anyone that was in there doing that, but absolutely.
Yep.
And that's a great education for the kids.
It is.
To see those type of exhibits and the things that you have there at the fair. Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Well, hopefully, we'll become more able to do some of our activities that we have been involved in the past. Farm Safety Day. There's just numerous things. Each club will have different things that they're involved with. So, but all of it for the good of the community and to learn. We're still learning. So the lessons that we have, when you have a meeting, typically you have you're together with your friends, but we have an educational side to it too. We have a lesson every month, information, current information, things that are relative to us. So.
Yeah. How to stay, and that's the thing, as long as you stay engaged.
Yeah.
As long as you stay up with what's going on and keep yourself engaged, that just keeps the brain sharp. It keeps us going.
Right.
And we know that lately it's a little harder to get to have opportunities to learn, but we, sometimes I have to get like I said earlier, I have to get my granddaughter to come help me figure this out. But that's okay. That's a bonding thing for her and I.
Yes.
That we get to share that.
Yeah.
And I bring her into the kitchen some. That's another opportunity to bond some with her, and that's something that, as Meemaw, that I get to do.
I have a Meemaw.
You have a Meemaw.
Yeah, I do have a Meemaw.
Well, the story there is, by the time they got around to naming my husband and I, Grandma, Granny, all of those were gone. My mother was Meemaw, so I got to be Meemaw.
There you go.
And he's Pawpaw Red. He had red hair back then, but he doesn't any longer. Guys, this has been great. Thank you so much again for coming and talking to us and telling us about your program. I hope that all of our folks on our station here goes and participates and takes this opportunity to come and support. Because again, the good cause, that the scholarships are going to be something that that will make the generations. It will continue to go for the generations. Again, thank you so much, both of you,
Thanks
for
having
coming
us.
and visiting with us. I'm Kathy Williamson with Goodwill Works, and we appreciate you being with us today.